We're going to let her introduce herself. Her name is Kristin Murdock, and she's one of my favorite lecturers, so have a great time with this. We do have a gift for her from the Center for Entrepreneurship and Technology, so
hey, thank you.
We'll give her a hand and welcome Kristin Murdock.
Hi. Okay. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you for the gift. What is it? I know. You don't know? Okay. Open it right now. We'll open it after. Okay, it's a shirt. Is it really? It's pretty heavy for a shirt. Okay. My name is Kristin Murdock. I own a business called Cowpie Clocks. And it's an internet business. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to put down your pens. I'd like you to just relax for a minute and hear just a very, very cool story. It started around 8. Maybe it's almost been 9 years ago, and my boys were in junior high school, and they needed a break, and so I took them down to the deserts of southern Utah with their motorcycles and said, you can ride all over the desert, just make sure you can see me and the truck, and, you know, if something were to happen, they go, okay. So, I mean, I had read every magazine I had, I'd done everything I could do, and I was just walking around in the desert, and I was stepping over these old, gnarly, petrified cow pies. And I picked one up, smelled it, kind of smelled like straw, hay, you know, sawdust, and I started collecting them, stacking them, and putting them in my truck, and brought them back and put them in my garage. And you know how you have those quiet moments wherever they are? Sometimes it's in your car when there's a good song on and you're just thinking about your life, or maybe in the shower or wherever it is. Mine are when I'm laying in my bed at night and I just think about my life and think about what's going on. And you know what? I could not get those cow pies out of my mind. It was the strangest thing. And here they are disintegrating in my garage, and my sons are like, I don't know what's happened to Mom, but, you know, we got these cow pies sitting there. So I decided to toughen them up and glazed them. Worked on glaze. $1,000 later, finally found a glaze that would put kind of a plastic coating over the cow pie and would keep it, you know, it's really, really hard core that would keep it from crumbling, and it shined it up, and it almost looked like petrified wood. And I thought, that's kind of cool. So then I got out the drill presses and my kids and started drilling holes through the middle of them, reglazed, and put a gold quartz clock in there. And then I started giving them out to my girlfriends with funny sayings on them, like, happy birthday, you old poop, or congratulations, you've done good, or for all you do, this crap's for you. And I started giving them on meat platters to them, and you know what? They were disgusted. They thought it was the sickest gift. And I thought they were kind of cool, but they were just like, this is sick and wrong. And so, now, my sister's husband's mother was coming into town. She's a hardcore New Yorker, and I thought she'll like this gift. So I gave her a gift with some lame saying on it, like, you were heaven sent, S-C-E-N-T, or something like that on there. And I gave it to her, and she loved it. Oh my gosh, she just loved it so much. And I thought, finally, someone likes this, you know. And my sister's husband is best friends with Donny Osmond. Now, and has been for years and years and years. Well, when my sister's husband's mother comes into town, Donny Osmond always wants to come over because they're friends. He just really likes her. And so he comes over and she says, look what I got as a Christmas present. And she shows him the Cowpie clock. Next thing I know, I have a phone call on my cell phone saying, I want one of, this is Donny Osmond, I want one of your Cowpie clocks. And what I want it to say on it is, congratulations, you're outstanding in your field. So, yeah, which was cute. And so I said, okay. So I got the saying on there, took that Cowpie clock down to his house in the River Bottoms, and, you know, I just went on with my life. And next thing you know, I get a phone call from my sister's husband's mother in New York, and she says, are you watching the Donny and Marie show? Now, this was when Donny and Marie had their talk show. Remember when they did that talk show for a while? And it did really well, and then it didn't do so well, but this was when it was doing really well, and they were having all these guests and stuff like that. Well, they talked about it. They talked about the cow pie on the show. And because of the time change, I actually experienced it and watched it, and they talked about it. And so I just went, oh my gosh, this is national TV about this, showing this cow pie that I'd given him. And the next day, the producer of the Donnie and Marie show calls and says, where do I direct all these hundreds of phone calls coming in on this cow pie clock? And, of course, I had no business. This was just a joke that everyone hated. And so I am going to show you the clip that literally jump-started overnight an internet business that is still going today, and then we'll talk about everything else that has happened. But now don't blink your eyes because it's really short, but this literally started the business. Okay. Are the lights off yet?
Show them what your friend does.
I'll set this up. I have a friend up in Utah. His name is Sick Nick. That pretty much explains what he's like. His name is Nick Gazdick.
Yes.
And you know Nick. And he's got a sister. No, he's got a sister-in-law named Candace.
Candace.
And she's driving along, you know, the road, and she's...
Donnie, just get to it.
She's in right next to these cow pastures. And she sees all of these cow pies.
Where's
this show going? And this is in Utah, and she sees all these cow pastures, and she says, I can make money off those.
But she did it. I mean,
she pulls her car over. She walks out into the field looking for the perfect cow pie. She finds one. She picks it up, puts it in her car, drives back to her house, puts it in her oven, and bakes it. I'm not done yet. She then shellacks it, puts a hole in it, puts a clock in it, and she sent me one. It's called the Utah Turd Time.
But you know what is bizarre? Is they're selling
She can't
like
make them
crazy.
fast enough.
And
Well,
that's
the cows
awful.
can't make them fast enough.
Okay, that was the clip that hit. And of course, I didn't take anything. He made up the whole story because there really was no story. And he made up the whole story, named it Utah's Turd Time. There was no name. And so, okay, now, I'm going to tell you how I jump-started a business. Okay, this was an opportunity. Opportunities always come our way. And a lot of times in our life, it isn't exactly what we really thought it was going to be, and sometimes they pass right by, and it's given to someone else, is my feeling about how it works. And this, I had never even known anything about cows. I came from a family of people that entertained dignitaries up in Portland, Oregon. My father was very well known, and manners and classy and everything, and all of a sudden this opportunity came, and I just thought, you know, this may be like the pet rock. And so I'm going to step-by-step tell you what I did to literally form an internet business when the internet was really still quite small, and then what's taken place since then. Okay, first of all, I had to call the producer of the Donnie and Marie show and say, can your assistant take the phone numbers? Just by the end of the day, I will have a phone number. And he goes, okay. So she started collecting the phone numbers for me. I then went out to Lowe's and I bought a phone that had an answering machine on it, and I recorded a message and I put it in my home. I had 2 lines in my home. At the time I took 1 line, and then it became the cow pie phone. And I recorded a message, hi, this is Kristin, and I'm the desert, I'm out in the field picking up cow pies with Bessie, or, you know, whatever. And I just said, so leave me your name and number and I'll get back with you and all that. Okay. Then the phone just starts ringing. I gave it the number to the producer, the phone just starts ringing, and I never touched it again. I didn't ever answer the phone, and that bought me some time, because now I just could pick up all the messages, and I can start figuring out what I'm going to do with the rest of this little business. Okay. Then I knew I needed to have a business, so I thought about who do I know that's an attorney. I knew a girlfriend of mine had a father that's an attorney in Salt Lake. I called him and I said, listen, this is what's just happened this morning on the Donnie and Marie show, and now, you know, all this. And so he just thought it was great and helped me. And every time I told the story and needed help, everyone wanted to help. And it was really neat. So he formed the LLC. I didn't know really what I needed. He said I needed a limited liability company, okay, umbrella company. And so he formed that, but it can't be called. I said, I think the business is going to be, you know, after 3 minutes of thinking, cow pie clocks. Because Utah's Turd Time, it just didn't really do it for me. I think I don't know, it just didn't do it. It still doesn't do it for me. But anyway, and Donnie had just made that up. So he says, we need a different name, just for the parent company, the LLC. So I just made up Creations by Kristin. And then the DBA, doing business as, was cow pie clocks. Okay, doing business with cowboy clocks. So that's how it was formed. Then, if I ever want to start another type of business, maybe, making soups or something. Wait, that wasn't really good enough for cowboy clocks. But anyway, that I could then put that under Creations by Kristin also. And it would be something different than cowboy clocks. Okay, then I went to Springville and got a business license. And I just walked in there and paid $20 and they give, So, and that's really easy. And I like Springville, and that's why I chose Springville to go there. You can go anywhere and get a business license. Okay, right there. Now I'm in business. The minute you form the LLC, you're in business. You don't have to wait till they give you a thumbs up and say it's a go. It's a go. You just, the minute they send off the paperwork, you have that in your business license. Also, okay. So then I thought, well, this is great. This is really cool, but I don't really know that much about business. I am the creative end of the business. I need someone to keep me out of jail. And so I thought, I need someone who can do the books, who knows how to do things like that. And I started just racking my brain for who could help me. And I remembered a lady who was the executive assistant for many, many big businesses right under the president of the company. And she wanted to take some time away to go have some babies and to start her family. So I called her. I knew she was at home doing nothing, and if she's been in that world, which is so wild as an executive assistant, I knew she'd probably be interested in this, and I explained it to her, what had just happened. And she said, I would love to. I said, how about you telling me I will pay you by the hour? And because I don't know what's going to happen, and she said that would be fine. And then she told me how much she charges an hour. And she was from the big-time corporate world, and I just couldn't believe how much she was charging for an hour, and I said, okay. And so, but then I found out that she was way overqualified for my business at the time that was just starting, and it was just so nice because by the time I could get off the phone with her, it was done. Things were done. She did so much in 1 hour that it was just worth every penny that I paid her of that. And she is still with me today and is just a great assistant for me. Okay, so then we got that going in the business cards and the opening an account at the bank and all that stuff you guys know that you have to do with a business. Right now, it was like, okay, now what do I have no product. I have people who want to buy it. I have no product. And what am I going to do? I'm going to form an internet business. Now, this was a chance I took with an internet business because now I know that some things don't work over the internet. Some products it just doesn't work. There's a different venue that is better for certain products than the internet. This was perfect for the internet. It was so perfect because it's a specialty gift. A cowboy clock is a specialty gift. And wait, I haven't shown you a clock. Would you like to see a clock? Oh my gosh, wait! You don't even know! Okay, what I'm talking about, okay, here's a small cowboy clock, okay? This one says, for all the crap I took, this is for you. And I thought that was a pretty clever saying that someone, wanted on their cowboy clock. And this is a small. It starts at $39.95 plus $15 shipping. It comes with a battery and a stand and any saying you want on it. I'll engrave and put on it. Okay? And this one's kind of gnarly. It's kind of a unique looking one. It looks like, I don't know. And I glaze it with everything in it so you can see everything the cow has eaten. It's just beautiful. Okay. Then we have medium, which I didn't bring, but I did bring you a large, and this one's so cool. This one's huge. Check this one out. Look at this. And this one has a stick. This one has a stick coming out of it and a bunch of junk. And so, and this one says, it's your birthday. How amazing. Anyway, so that's, this is the large, and I think they start around 50, and plus shipping. And one thing about this business, since it's a specialty business, I don't sell anything wholesale. Everything goes out retail. If you want a cowboy clock, you pay the price for it. And most people, I haven't ever had anyone who said, well, it's just a piece of cowpie, anything like that. They don't care. Then I went, okay, hey, this would be kind of fun. So I threw a golf ball on there and a tee. And I thought, I'm going to enter into the golf world with the cowpie clocks, and the PGA picked it up. And they give these to the losing teams in the PGA, okay? And it says, the product is called Cowballs, and it says, you shoot like crap, you win crap. And that's it. And it goes out to all the PGA tournaments for the losing teams. In fact, one guy called me and said, I need to order in for a PGA tournament coming up, blah, blah, and he says, no one wants to win anymore. Everyone wants your cow pie clock, you know. And look at that, has all the grass and stuff in it. Isn't that neat? So, okay. So there's what the cow pie clocks look like. And so now I have everything, but I don't have any product. And so I'm like, I got to go get some cow pies and get this thing going. Everything else is in place. I started an internet business. I just hired some guy, and I just said, do you know how to do websites? And it was kind of new then still. And he said, yeah. And I said, can you get some clip art and just put the cows rear end on one side and all that stuff. And that website is really cheesy, and it was pretty cheesy, but my business is pretty cheesy. So the same website's still up today, 8 years later. And you can look at it at cowpieclocks.com, and it's the same clip art and everything. You know, some things have been tweaked on it, but it's basically the same website as the beginning. And then I got into e-commerce so that I could take credit cards, and I went, how slick is that to just have people look on your website, put in their credit card, and you're paid in full before you even begin to do their cow pie clock. They can put what they want in their seine. They can order as many as they want. There's no discounts, and everything is $15 shipping, every pie. And I'm real particular about the way they're shipped. I don't want them to come back broken or anything like that. So, but it turned out to be a really nice little business. Will I become a millionaire from cow pie clocks? No, not from this business. Now, the ones I'm going to talk about next, yes. But these, no, because this is a specialty product. I mean, when this hit, Walmart even called and said, I'd like your cow pie clocks. And I can't even furnish the Provo Walmart. There'd be no way that I could even furnish that. Plus, I'm not going to discount them down. I'm not going to wholesale them. They're just too much work, even though they are free because they're out of the desert. But anyway, so then I had to get some product, okay? So I rallied my girlfriends, and I just said, hey, how fun would it be to go down to St. George for the weekend? We'll pick up some cow pies in the desert. Wouldn't that be fun to do? And then, and they're like looking at me because I had already given them a cow pie clock, and they hated them, you know, and now I'm rallying to go pick up raw ones out of the desert. And so, and I'll treat you to, you know, the buffet at Mesquite. And they said, okay. So they went down. I'm in the desert in southern Utah with them, and we're all sweating, picking up hundreds of cow pies. And my cell phone rings, and it's my mother in Portland, Oregon. And she says, hi. And I go, hi, Mom. And she says, have you looked at the National Enquirer this week? And I was like, no. And she says, you're in it with your cow pie clocks. And I'll show you this. And I said, you're kidding. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh. Well, the website had just come out, and for some reason they found it. And this is what it looked like. This big. They had taken my picture off the website and touched up my eyes or whatever, but I have black lips. But anyway, and they had this correspondent, Kitty Fine, had not contacted me, but had put in this whole thing off the pictures off the website and had written this great article. I mean, I don't know who she is, but it was perfect. She had my website. I couldn't have asked for better publicity. Now, when you have an unusual product, you never have to pay for any publicity. You never have to pay for anything like that. If you're going to sell milk, yeah, you're going to have to pay, you know, a lot of, but with cow pie clocks, I have never paid. I have had thousands and thousands of dollars of free publicity. Because now, once it hit this, then it just snowballed. And I have to tell you something, these morning radio shows, then I got in the circuit of the morning radio shows. Cable called me. I went up there, did this, left them a clock to give us a free giveaway, and they, I don't know if you know, but in the morning DJ system, there is a wire system out, wherever wire systems are through the United States, that you can pay for, and you can get on this to where, you know when they do these big contests and all these things of putting your hand on the car and the last person to hold their hand on it wins the car and all, that's nothing they're making up. It's all something that's worked somewhere else. It's worked worked somewhere else in the country. They all put in what worked on their radio shows, and everybody else takes it. And then they go to their own market and they introduce it. So none of that is new stuff. But when you're doing 4 hours a morning, every single morning, those morning DJs have got to be in this system and grabbing all the stuff. Well, Cable interviewed me. We had a great time, and they put it up in the system. And it went everywhere, and I was inundated with phone calls. This girl, she makes cowboy clocks. She's really funny, and she has a great product, and she'll leave you with one to give as a giveaway. And it hit everywhere, and I was inundated. And so I started scheduling early morning, all the way from East Coast, might as well do drive time back there, and get all the publicity. And also, I would schedule them a week later, and then I would send them a cowpie clock as a giveaway and a cowpie mirror. And what I do is I just pop the clock, throw in a mirror, and put on the saying, "You look like crap." And then I just send both of them out. And then they would have, not only was it my interview and talking about this crazy business, but then they say, "And for the 17th caller," and then they go through all of that. So I'm getting double publicity on cowpie clocks and my website, and it was just, I just stack them. I just stack them every morning and just go downstairs in my pajamas and just start with the first one in my office. And it was really a lot of fun. I have to tell you about one. So it got to be the 21st of December, and a radio show called and said, we want to do your interview. And I said, I can't get any more out for Christmas. There's just no more time, because of the holidays coming up. I can't get them there. And they said, "We want to introduce you anyway. We'll tell you we're from Texas, and we have this great radio show and a lot of listeners, and we'll just tell them they can't get them for Christmas. They can order them for after, but they can't get them for Christmas." I said, "Okay." So we did the radio show on the 22nd of December, and it was really a funny one. It was early morning, really funny, and right when I hung up, the cowpie phone rang. And so I picked it up and I said, "Cowpie clocks." This was early morning. I go, "Cowpie clocks," and it was this guy, and he says, "Yeah, but I just heard you on the radio in Texas, and I'd like to order a cowpie clock for Christmas." I said, "Yeah, I can get it to you for after Christmas, but I can't get it to you for Christmas." And he says, "Yes, you can." And I said, "Yeah, well, I know I can overnight it to you, but it's really expensive. It's $60 to overnight, and then you have to do all this stuff." He goes, "I know." And he says, "If you send it by 4 o'clock today, I'll receive it by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and the cost should cost me around $80 total to, And I said, "Yeah, you're right." And I said, "May I ask, who is this?" And he says, "I am the president of FedEx." And he was in a taxi heading back to his home. The taxi driver had the show on, the radio on, and that was and so he gave me his FedEx number. And I got it, and he was getting it for his wife for Christmas. And he wanted it to say, "I took your crap. Now take mine," on it. Isn't that good? So anyway, and I shipped it out in his FedEx number, and he got it for Christmas. But I had all kinds of stories like that coming in. It was really kind of a kick as cowpie clocks grew. Then I started employing all the kids from Timpview High School. I've employed so many kids from Timpview High School who come in, do the dipping, the glazing, the drilling, and everything with the cowpie clocks once they come in, and they go through quarantine and stuff like that, and then they come out and then they're shipped out. So anyway, and all of it's done in the summer months because nothing will dry around here in the winter. So everything's carted to the cowpie barn, and all that is done so it'll dry, and then it's just stored through the winter months. Okay, so, oh my gosh, okay, so we're not leaving late today. We are getting out on time. So then, I thought, okay, so this business is fun. It's doing really well. I've kept every saying that everyone has sent in their cowpie clocks. I've kept them all. And some of them were just hilarious. The Boy Scouts of America wanted all these cowpie clocks for all of the top people in Boy Scouts, and they wanted it on their plaque, "Do a good turd daily," instead of turn. Isn't that the Boy Scout motto? It's turn. Yeah, and it just was such an interesting deal, and got so much free publicity. It was just so fun. Write-ups and papers, everything, and it was just kind of a kick. So I decided I was going to take all this, and it made sense to me in those quiet hours in my bed when I'm sitting and thinking about my life, to put them into greeting cards. Happy birthday, inside, you will poop. You know, I mean, it just made sense. You know, congratulations, you done good. It just made sense to make those into greeting cards. So I started thinking about an artist who I know is kind of twisted in the head that can do some artwork for me. And I remembered this guy that did some really strange stuff, and I called him. He's an artist, a starving artist. And I said, can you draw cows and cow pies? He said, oh, yeah. And so I made up a line of greeting cards. I could see them finished. I just had to figure out how to get them to that point. And I did this whole line of greeting cards. And if we were in another class that had more time, I would tell you about my marketing strategy that was absolutely incredible, that took this line right up to there's only 5 huge lines of greeting cards in the whole greeting card industry. That's a huge industry. There's only 5. You know, Hallmark, American Greetings. I think there's one called Gibson or something like that. There's Lean & Tree, which does the Western cards, and there's one more. But what is it? Shoebox. Shoebox is part of Hallmark, isn't it? Yeah, so anyway, that's okay. I had to learn that too. But anyway, but I had this whole marketing strategy of how I was, because I created the cards, but now where am I going to sell them? I had no, distribution and all that stuff. And we could go into that if we had more time. But it just took them right to the right people in the national market, and they are all over. So if you go to the store and you see any of them, in fact, I brought some right here, I'll show you. If you see any with cows standing up, sane human thoughts, those are mine. And so I have hundreds of them out on the national market. Now this is called licensing, and they all look like this. Like this one, hello. He's sitting on a toilet reading the newspaper. It says, congrats to a real regular guy. And that's a birthday card. Anyway, and then but there's all different kinds, but they're all with the cows saying, funny cards. I'm saying funny sayings. And you can have these after class. You can come and get some if you want them. But now, that's licensing. Licensing is a different deal. It isn't internet. Licensing is where a national company comes up and likes these pictures, loves all this, loves what you've done. Congratulations, you've done good, and wants to buy the rights to them. They don't want to buy your company. They don't want to buy cow pie greeting cards. They want to buy the rights to distribute them out through all their channels. And they pay lots of good money to be able to do that because they don't want to create them. But they have the channels. Hallmark has all those stores, and Lean & Tree has all those Western, things, all that stuff. And Lean & Tree picked up this whole line and sent it all over. And then I get a cut of every card that's sold, and they sell about 5 million a year. Greeting cards, and I get a cut of every one. And so I'm in a licensing agreement with them that I can't sell these anywhere to anyone else, that they have the rights to them. They just renewed their rights again, so they're doing really well. And then I am required to do 12 new cards a year. Hello, I did those last night. So anyway, it's a great, licensing is a screaming deal. If you have the right product, oh my gosh. It's like, and then I just open my mailbox and go, okay, hey, here's another check for me. So, and they take them. I don't even print them. They print them. They even print them. Yeah, all I do is send them on a high-res disc when they're done, and they just, so it's really slick. Okay, so I got the greeting cards out on the market. Then I thought, hey, how about cookies, cow pie cookies? And so different manufacturing facility has the cow pie clocks. But their cookies, I brought you all cookies, by the way. Their cookies, here, hold one up, would you? There, that's the, oh, that one's so good. That's a woman cookie. That is a brownie. Yeah, I didn't enough, believe me. It's brownie, full hardcore brownie, white chocolate chips, fudge on the bottom. I mean, it's just a real, hardcore cookie. But these cookies all have fudge on the bottom. They're cow pie cookies. I did the trademark on it. I didn't do my due diligence with the trademarking them. Someone else had the name cow pie candy. It was too close, and they nailed me. So always make sure you do your due diligence with researching your trademarks. So then I couldn't find another name, so I threw my own name on there, Kristin's Cookies. But anyway, they go out to the different rodeos, the National Rodeo Finals, where I blow out about 40,000 of them, and then they go to different venues like that. They are not an internet product. I do not make them. I have bakers here that make them for me to my specs, and then I have them fudge all the bottoms of them. And then I slap on my label. And so it's really slick. I don't even have to bake them. You know, they bake them, and I put it on my label, and they shoot out all over the place. And I brought them for you. Okay, so now here under the umbrella of cow pie, we've got greeting cards and cookies. And then I thought, you know what? Oh man, I forgot. Well, these slingshot animals, you've seen those out on the market, but these. Now the next thing that was invented were the pooping animals. You've seen those, haven't you? The pooping ones? Okay, those came out. I did those in China and brought them over, and they just sell like crazy. I mean, they're like 8 cents each. And I sell them for $2. And one thing I've learned is that I like high margins. I like a real big margin. Okay, I just don't want to be in business if I'm just not going to make any money. It just is too much work and stress and worry. So anything that I'm going to bring out as a product, I'm going to make some serious money. That's the bottom line for me. It just has to be that way. So these are noses, and I've got all kinds of stuff that you can have here. So I brought those to America. One thing. Oh, I sell millions. But one thing though that I have to tell you about China, when you're dealing with China, is that if you invent a product and you take it over there and you have these agreements that, you know, that it's my product and I invented it and I'm giving it to you in China to make it for me, that the minute you leave the country, they will give it to everybody. They don't have any, you know, I mean, that's why we have so many knockoffs. That's why you got these knockoff bags and everything, because they don't think that they have to keep it secret and that it's really your invention. They just go and they sell it. So if you see these everywhere, you'll see them everywhere, you know. But so that's what you have to deal with in China now. Now maybe it's better now, but when I did this, it wasn't better. So they're all over, and that's okay. You know, that's okay. I've made a ton of money, but off of those. And then these also, and I brought a lot of the stuff so you can have it. I mean, it's all cheesy stuff, but great margins and good money made. And these now, I went into chickens, and, you know, whoops, that one, where's the eggs? Where'd the egg go? It's way down in there. Wait, let me see about this guy. Okay, yeah, see, it has an egg. And there's just a chicken, and, oh my gosh. Anyway, never know really what you get out of China. And the egg is in there. Where did the egg go? Oh, there it is. I sell these for $3, and they cost me about 18 cents each. 2 thumbs up. Anyway, so those were some of the spin-off products. And then I said, hey, you know, I think I'll do some more. And so then I came out with these. I don't know if you've seen these before. These are dead chickens hanging off of a you know, necklace, and they're kind of cool. Okay, these are made in China, and this is solid gold. Now, these sell for $2 each. I think they're in every casino in Las Vegas, and they could probably cost me ½ cent each. Okay, now the most interesting part is I took them down to Las Vegas for the National Rodeo Finals, but I didn't know that there is, some of you cowboys and cowgirls out there would know that every year the bull that bucks the most riders off is the national bull for that year. Okay, and I don't even know anything about that, but there's some gnarly bulls out there, but there's always one each year that is just so hardcore it bucks everybody off. Well, the one that won last year is owned by the cable guy, Larry the Cable Guy, and the bull's name is Chicken on a Chain. Okay, so I get down there, and this is the national bull, and everyone's going, where'd you get that necklace? Where'd you get that? As people are wearing it to the rodeo that night. And all of a sudden, I have 50 billion people in my booth getting these to wear at the rodeo. Okay, to buy them to wear at the rodeo. It was awesome. It was awesome. I didn't even know anything about Chicken on a Chain. There you go. Okay? And you can have these. You can have these, and you can put them on your dash, on your mirror, rearview mirror. It's kind of cool. It's kind of a cool thing. Okay. Then I went, hey, how about a cow pie cookbook. Why not? I mean, why not? It may sell. Everything I do, I don't want to lose money on. So if I'm going to introduce a product and I'm a little iffy about it, it's like I think it will do well, I'm definitely not going to introduce a product that's going to make me lose a lot of money. I'm just not going to do it. Okay? So these were cheap to make. They're $2 or $1.50 each to have produced. I asked my son, who just got off his mission, you want to make a cow and pie cookbook? And he had a girlfriend at the time, and he goes, yeah. So here he is, my son, with his girlfriend, who they're not together anymore. But her picture is still in the cookbook. But anyway, and they got online, did it all online, and picked all their favorite recipes. The only catch was it had to have something from a cow in it. Milk, butter, meat, something from a cow, and introduced the cow pie cookbooks. And I think they sell for $7. The end. But anyway, and it's just cute. It's kind of, it just has some random recipes in it. And I brought cookbooks too. Okay, and they actually have done really well. They haven't, I've made back all of my expenses, including paying them for their time, my son and his little girlfriend, and have made a little money on it, but it wasn't a big one. Okay, now, not everything has made a ton of money, and especially this next product. And I just knew it was going to be a winner. And it wasn't. It was a real winner. But anyway, so I went, how about a cow pie belt buckle? And these have a steaming cow pie in the middle. And I just thought, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I had them doing, they're really inexpensive, and I was going to sell them for $10 each, okay? So I realized that the only anybody that wanted them were the kids from Timview High School that were drilling the holes. They're the only ones who thought these were cool. No one else did, okay? Does anyone have a belt that you can take off the belt buckle? Okay, come here. Okay, here you go. Would you like to model it for us?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Oh, wow, look at that belt.
Yep.
Okay, there you go. Now, I know, glad you wore a belt today.
And underwear.
Mm-hmm, yeah, exactly. Okay, now look at how cool that looks.
That is rad.
Okay, model.
Okay.
What do you think? Okay, it's yours. There you go. I know, really. I bought a few extras if you want them. But anyway, that was one that didn't really sell that well. And because they were so inexpensive, I didn't lose, I paid my costs on them, but I really didn't make any money at all on them. And I just thought they were going to be a hit, and they weren't. Okay, now, next thing then were the slingshot animals. Maybe you've seen the flying monkeys. I am out of monkeys right now. Oh, sorry, whoops. It's not supposed to move yet. I just pulled the tag. Okay, so what happens is you put them right here, you put them in your hands, in their little paws in your hands, and you slingshot them across the room. And there's monkeys that scream. This one moves. I haven't got my hands in its paws, but let me see if I can do it. And then it moves as it goes. You can have that. And so introduce these. There's frogs, there's ducks, all kinds. When you pull the tags, then they sell like crazy. In fact, most of them sell to people who have pets, dog owners, because they make those sounds. Okay, now. Okay, we are out of time in just a couple minutes, and make sure that you get a cookie in the back. But before you go, do you remember when I was telling you at the beginning about my kids and how I took them to St. George and they were riding around their motorcycles? The reason that we were down there, the three of us, is because I was going through a divorce. And these little boys of mine that were in junior high needed an outlet. They needed to just ride and play hard. And most of you probably have been touched by divorce in some way. Maybe not yourself, but your parents or your friends or sisters or whoever. And it's a really, really tough thing. It's a hard thing. And that is exactly when this cow pie business started. And I've always felt really strongly in my soul that it was to heal my family, and it did. And every time we go to kind of really feel bad is the minute a funny saying would come in, or we were working really hard with the cow pie business. And it healed my little boys. And they're grown now, and missions and stuff. But it healed my family. And so because of that, I felt really strongly that this business needed to, that the profits from this business needed to go for healing. And so after I pay my assistant a lot of money, and after I pay my runner and the attorneys and different people like that, the rest, I don't take a paycheck, and the rest goes for healing. And I'm for local grassroots healing. And I'm very proud of this business, but I just know that if I were to take the money and go and buy houses and buy boats and stuff like that it would end. And selfishly, I'm not ready for it to end yet because it's just so much fun. So, and I'm not saying that you need to do that when you form your businesses, but for me, I believe that there must be some other reason than just to make a ton of money. And I've told you I like big margins, but I want to help some people too. I really do, and so that's why I have big margins. I don't take a paycheck at all, but I've been able to do some very, very big, cool projects through Cowpie. And if I could say just one more thing, and then we're out of here, and that is that, you know, if you have a dream, we're in the United States, yeah, we're going through a little bit of a tough time right now, but everything balances out. Life is about balance, and, you know, our housing market got way out of balance. And now it's, you know, coming back, and now it's down here, and we'll balance out. Life balances itself out. So if you have a dream, and you have a business, and you think it's a go, then don't let weeds grow around it. Get out there and start hustling, because we live in America. I mean, this is where to do it. This is the great land. And so just thank you for coming today, and I hope you pursue your businesses, and I hope you have a good time, and just thank you, and grab a cookie, because it's dinner time.